Hey there, and welcome to A Story with me, Midnight Reader. Hit that like and subscribe, then relax and enjoy. Is it wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon? You know, an endless labyrinth divided into multiple floors and filled with scary monsters. Expectation. Join a group of fearless adventurers seeking wealth and fame. Go off to battle as soon as guild registration is complete. Meet a beautiful girl and protect her from an onslaught of monsters with only a sword in my hand. The air fills with her echoing screams, the monster's roars, and the clash of my sword as we face certain death. In the end, all that remains is her sitting on the floor beside my cool, heroic self, standing over the remains of all the monsters I slew. Her cheeks blush as she looks up with me, with beautiful, sparkling eyes. Love is about to bloom. Then sometimes I'd go to the local watering hole to boast about my day's adventures to the cute barmaids, make some new allies. Sometimes I'd protect a young elfess from a few of my more barbaric comrades. Sometimes I'd help a struggling Amazonian warrior by letting her join my party. Sometimes I might be seen getting friendly with other girls, causing some drama and jealousy. Sometimes this, sometimes that. Sometimes. I want to grow up a bit, become the kind of hero men dream about in tales of adventure. I want to be more than friends with cute girls. I want to meet the ladies of all the different races. Isn't having these slightly corrupt and naive thoughts part of being a young man? Is trying to meet girls in a dungeon? No. A harem? Really that wrong? Conclusion. I was wrong. Urrah! Ah! I'm about to die courtesy of these slightly corrupt and naive thoughts. Basically, I'm being chased by the bull-headed man-beast, the Minotaur. I'm going to be devoured by a monster that my measly level 1 attacks can't even scratch. I'm dead. So dead. Where did my dumb, despicable delusions get me to? To the Minotaur's dinner plate? That's where. I'm such an idiot. I was stupid to think that I was destined to find my dream girl in a dungeon. Striking gold in here, the golden locks of a beautiful maiden, that is nothing more than a hopeless fantasy. Come to think of it, I was doomed the moment I decided to look for my dream girl in a dungeon where hundreds of adventurers die every day. Ah, what would I give to go back in time? To go back to that moment when I came of age and registered at the guild, eyes sparkling, and punch myself in the face. That would be so nice. But that's not possible, physically or otherwise. Uah! The Minotaur's hooves come crashing down behind me. Ha ha! It missed? When did that crack get there? Not the most graceful face plant. Here comes the hoof again. Roll. Now! All I can do is scoot my sorry butt back. All the cute girls would laugh for sure if they saw me like this. From the start, guess I never had what it takes to be the beloved hero. My back hits the wall. Now there really is nowhere to run. I sprinted all that way, hall after hall, just to get trapped in a wide, square room, and now I'm cornered. This really is the end, I think to myself, my teeth chattering and tears rolling down my cheeks. The Minotaur's nose is so close, its putrid breath pounding my skin. I look up at its ridiculously muscular body. It has to be at least twice my size. What's worse, it's gloating over me with a clumsy, broken smile. In the end, I didn't meet any girls at all. The same fantasies that got me in this mess are running through my head for the last time. Oh, look, the Minotaur's hoof is above my head. The next moment, a line shoots across the creature's torso. Huh? Huh? Sounds like he's just as confused as I am. The line doesn't stop there. It travels through thick pectoral muscles, across the raised leg, up the thigh, to the shoulders, and finally out the Minotaur's neck. Now, a silver light is shining through. And so it was that a monster I couldn't scratch was cut into slabs of meat. Gah! Its dying roar of surprise and pain echoes through the chamber. The beast's body falls to pieces along the dissection insects, as if the seams of an overstuffed doll all burst at once. Its dark red stuffing sprays out like a fountain. Time stands still as a tsunami of beast blood washes over me. Are you okay? That's when I see a young girl, no, goddess, emerge from behind what's left of the bull monster. Her thin body is decorated with light blue clothing. Even in armor, she radiates feminine beauty. She stands tall despite her petite frame. Her bulging twins are packed tightly into a breastplate engraved with a silver emblem. The same emblem graces her wrists and blood soaked saber. She points the glistening blade downward, the blood dripping harmlessly to the floor. The blonde hair hanging down to her waist shines so brightly I could swear it's made of gold. Atop a body that any woman would call delicate perches the face of a sweet young girl. She looks down upon me with golden eyes. Ah, a female warrior with golden eyes and hair, clad in light blue remnant. Even a level 1 newbie like me knows who she is standing there. There's no mistaking. Loki Familia's Eyes Wallenstein. Everyone knows she's achieved the highest rank among human, no, all female races. Level 5. Um, are you sure you're okay? No, I'm not okay. Definitely not okay. My heart feels like it could explode and fall to pieces any second. That is not okay. My cheeks blush as I gaze up upon her with sparkling doe eyes. Love is about to bloom. No, love is erupting within me. My soul is gone. It's hers now. Is it wrong to try and pick up girls in a dungeon? After further review, I was not wrong. Miss Ina. Hmm? Ina Tooley, a receptionist for the guild that manages all dungeon activities, looked up from the book she held loosely in one hand. Her long, pointed ears twitched as her transparent emerald eyes tore themselves away from the pages. Her mid-length brown hair shone in the early afternoon sunlight. Despite her good looks, she was not quite as perfect as the elves. It was as if her beauty had been glued on, but a corner was sticking up. The guild uniform, black jacket and pants, suited her thin frame very well. Known as the young Miss Congeniality within the guild, Ina was half human, half elf. Adventurers were usually out in a dungeon at the time of day, so Ina decided to read to pass the time. She responded quickly to the voice that had called her name. He made it back safely again today. What had it been? 2 weeks? Since this bright-eyed kid came into the register with the guild? It had fallen on her to become this 14-year-old's dungeon advisor and coach. He was an adventurer, a job that anyone, regardless of age or gender, could secure, but so many people died doing it. He was still a child, and she hated sending him into such a dangerous place. The only reason she worried for the boys, Bell Crannell's, safety was that he was in her charge. She smiled, happy to hear his voice and relieved that he had returned safely. She hurried to fix her glasses and straighten her clothes before he came through the door. Miss Ina! Someone covered in black blood flew into the guild? Is that him? Hey! Tell me everything you know about Eyes Wallenstein, please. You know, Belle, after getting covered in blood, you should at least take a shower before coming in here. Sorry about that. I can only hang my head and listen as she speaks. We are in a small room set up in the lobby of the guild headquarters. Sitting in chairs across from each other, there's only a table between us. I'm clean at this point, but that doesn't stop her from making an overly dramatic sigh. I can't believe you walked through the city as such a revolting mess. It makes me question your sanity. But, but, hearing someone as pretty as Ina say something that harsh so directly cuts really deep. Tears are welling up in the corners of my eyes. Ina cracks a painful smile and gently pushes my nose with her finger. Be careful next time, okay? She asks, giving me a big smile. I nod up and down as fast as I can. So you wanted information on Eyes Wallenstein, yes? Can I ask why? Well, about that, I tell her everything about what had happened, my face getting redder with every word. I start with how I decided to go from a lower second floor of the dungeon, my usual route, down to the lower fifth, and then about how I encountered a minotaur the moment I arrived, even about trying to run away and getting cornered. Then, being saved from certain death by the Kinkai, Eyes Wallenstein. Finally, I tell her how I tried to say thank you and reach up to shake her hand, but my whole body was shaking. I suddenly got shy and really nervous. All the blood drained from my face, and in a blink of an eye. In the end, I ran back to headquarters at full speed. Ina is nice enough to lend me her ears, but her face gets more and more frightening with each passing detail. Why don't you ever listen to me? You are alone, so low, in the dungeon. You can't just suddenly go that deep without any preparation. How many times have I told you that adventurers shouldn't go on adventures? Yes, ma'am. Adventurers shouldn't go on adventures. That's Ina's motto. It may sound like one heck of a contradiction, but she's really saying, get some insurance and safety first. Seems like newbies like me really need to take her words to heart. I heard most adventurers who die in the dungeon are newbies too. No one could have guessed that an encounter with a category level 2 monster, like a minotaur, would have happened on the lower 5th floor of the dungeon. Everyone knows that minotaurs only show up on lower 15th floor or lower. I can hear Ina's words now. No telling what will happen in the dungeon. But seriously, if it weren't for that girl, I'd be dead right now. Just thinking about it sends shivers down my spine and almost makes me piss myself. I swear on my soul that I'll never forget another word out of Ina's mouth. Sounds to me like you've got some weird fantasy about dungeons, and that was the reason for today's events. Am I right? Yep, she was right. But if I admitted that and went on an adventure to meet girls, she'd clobber me right here. It's true, the main reason that I wanted to become an adventurer in the first place was the not so pure goal of meeting as many pretty girls and beautiful ladies as I could, just like the heroes and tales of adventures. Ina probably saw it written all over my face when I registered for the guild. Even though she doesn't try to control me, she always looks at me like I'm up to something. But from today on, I'm turning over a new leaf. All those dirty daydreams are out the window. From today, I'll be going into the dungeons with a purer purpose, all because I met that girl. If it's okay, could you tell me about Miss Wallenstein now? Well, it's against guild regulations to give out adventurers' personal information. She paused for a moment before saying, all I can tell you is information that's already out there. She might just be helping me out because I'm a newbie, but Ein's kindness is amazing. Full name, Eyes Wallenstein. She is the female warrior at the core of the Loki Familia. There is no question that her swordsmanship is on par with the strongest of all adventurers. She once wiped out a horde of level 5 monsters by herself, earning her the nickname Kenki, or Sword Princess. Some go as far as to call her Senki, which sounds like Lady of Combat. I heard that the gods call her Eyes Maji Musu, or Eyes the Unequal. Males who try to put the moves on her are slain, utterly destroyed. She just recently passed the 1,000 kill mark. Let's see, what else? With her amazing body and strength like that, there are plenty of things to talk about. Um, Not as an adventurer. What does she do in her free time? What food does she like? Maybe you could tell me more about the last thing you said there? Ina blinks her two eyes 3 times. I think my face is on fire. What's this? Belle, do you have a thing for Miss Wallenstein? No, nah. Well, kinda. Yes. I don't blame you, though. I'm female, same as her, but my heart skips a beat when I see her. Ina lets out a small chuckle as she brings a cup of tea to her lips. How can she be that elegant just drinking tea? It's not just Ina who looks up to Eyes Wallenstein. She's popular with other adventurers too. Eyes like jewels framed with soft skin, a delicate chin, and a pretty nose. She is the living, breathing definition of beauty. There are rumors about how many men are after her heart, but no one knows for sure. Ina is my boss. And we're talking like this? Am I a lucky guy or what? Despite being half human, Ina has all of the refined beauty of a full blooded elf. I can't believe how friendly and open she is with me. She tells me many people judge her on her looks and don't know her real personality. Ina looks a little down after saying that, but tells me that she's never heard anyone dating Miss Wallenstein. Fist pump. Hell yeah. I really don't know her hobbies or anything like that. Wait, wait, wait. This is a workplace. These questions have nothing to do with your job. I'm not your matchmaker. But could you try? No. Unless you have something else to discuss about your job, go home already. She stands up and almost chases me out of the room. It was pointless to try and stay any longer. She follows me out into the guild lobby. The lobby is a little bit underwhelming, even though it's made of white marble. But all the pictures of famous adventurers and various gods on the walls give me a sense of being part of something big. Ah, you're such a tease, Miss Ina. You know, you are an adventurer. There are plenty of other things you should be thinking about, right? Yeah. Yes, I know. The only option for people without someone to support and protect them, like me, is to work hard in the dungeons to make enough money to see tomorrow. Also, if I don't know my contract inside and out, I'm up the creek without a paddle. Money is always tight. Plus, there is someone, no, a goddess, who I need to support. I don't have time to get caught up in my feelings for Miss Wallenstein. You already have a blessing from a god other than Loki, right? To be in a relationship with someone in a different familia would be difficult to say the least. Yeah? I don't want to say give up, but you have to face facts. Otherwise, this will only be a problem for you. Focus on being an adventurer for now. That has to be what she's trying to say. But seriously, it felt like a death sentence when she brought up the familia. I must have noticed the will to live draining from my face and decided to try and get my mind off of it by getting back to business. Are you going to get some money? Well, yeah, I slew a few monsters before meeting the Minotaur, so that's something. Then let's go to the exchange. I'll walk you there. Now I feel bad because she's going out of her way. Sure, left and right don't seem all that different to me right now, but she's already done so much. I still feel okay talking to her, but there's no way I'll be able to look her in the eyes after today. The exchange is within headquarters itself. We go there and I pick up my pay for today. I trade in some magic stone shards I got for killing mostly goblins and kobolds. Everything comes out to about 1,200 vowels worth of money. Less than usual, but considering I ran away from Mrs. Wallenstein, I didn't spend as much time as I usually do in the dungeon. Let's see. Weapon repairs, food for me and the goddess. No new items for me today. Belle? Oh, yes. What is it? Ina had walked with me almost out the door, but she stopped just before leaving headquarters. She looks like she has something on her mind, and then just says it. Girls like men who are strong and can be relied on, so if you work hard, get stronger, then maybe, possibly, you know? Maybe if you make a name for yourself, Mrs. Wallenstein might notice you. I stop and chew over those words for a moment. Did Ina, the boss who's always looking down on me, just say that? She's trying to cheer me on as another person, not a superior? Oh, yeah, that's a smile growing on my face. Energy and hope flood in as I step out onto the street. Just because I feel like it, I turn on my heel and yell back at her, Miss Ina, I love you. What? Thank you. Ina's bright red face makes me laugh as I set out onto the busy streets of the city. The labyrinth city, Orario. There is a labyrinth known as the dungeon beneath the city. It might be better to say that the massive city was built on top of it. The guild oversees everyone who goes below the surface at the core of the city. It's not just humans either. There are many kinds of demi-humans living in this flourishing metropolis alongside us. That's all I know about Arario. Books and studying have never really been my thing. I know that much about the city because I live here. People who make a living in the dungeon are called adventurers, like me. I grew up in a small town not far from here. Looking back, I was a really sheltered kid. My grandfather brought me up, but he died about a year ago. There was nothing left for me there, so I packed up what money was left and moved to the city. I don't think I have to say it at this point, but I came to Orario to meet girls in the dungeon. Real men try to make a harem. How many times did Graham say that? I can still remember his smile, so full of life. Gramps read tales of adventures to me for as long as I can remember. I love the heroes of stories. They slew the monsters, saved people from certain death, rescued the princess from anything, and looked awesome while doing it. Every time I heard Gramps tell me those stories, I saw myself as the hero. My head was filled with dreams of being one. Gramps let me in on the best part of being the hero. The hero's greatest taste of glory is not from slaying the monsters, it's meeting the girls. It didn't take long for visions of cute girls by my side after a dangerous adventure to saturate my brain. Gramps taught me about being a man's man. I was well on my way. As I got older, part of me accepted the fact that I would never become a hero from the tales, but on the other hand, Gramps built me up so much that the girls became my new goal. The book that he swore by, his Bible if you will, was Dungeon Oratoria. It's filled with stories about various heroes and their adventures. I think I bought into his enthusiasm. If I can be in a place where hero stories are made, if I can get to Arario, if I can get into the dungeon, if I could just do that, then the girl of my dreams would show up one day. Gramps passed on, but the determination he left behind pushed me out the door, all the way to Arario in the dungeon. I admit that I was winging it when I first got here, but now, after a brush with death, I feel really stupid for going into the dungeon just for ladies. I'm probably the only idiot who went in like that. Well, I'm pretty sure that the adventurers seeking money and fame are basically the same as me. Maybe. Today made me realize just living is hard. I will never take the dungeon lightly again, but now I have completely different reasons for going into the dungeon, including Mrs. Wallenstein. I slip into the multiracial crowd on Main Street. Dwarves, gnomes, animal people, prums. Some look like normal townsfolk, and some look a lot more dangerous. A human country boy like me is so out of place here. Even in this crowd, everything looks so new and interesting. The constant noise of the city is so invigorating, even though others complain it's too loud. I'll never get tired of this city. I work my way through the crowd, catching a few glimpses of some really cute and dignified elves along the way. There's the street I'm looking for. I make my way out of the crowd, off of Main Street, and into the smaller back road. There are so many twists and turns back here, I'm surprised I don't get lost more often. As the noise of Main Street fades, I arrive at a dead end. I crane my neck back to look up at an old, rundown church in this cul-de-sac. I don't think anyone has been here in years. To think, this two-story building was built to be a place of worship to the gods. Now it's not much more than ruin. There are pieces of walls missing. Well, actually, they're in piles on the ground where they fell. There's a hint of sadness about this place, left over from the people who stopped coming here who knows how many years ago. A statue of a goddess smiles down on me from above the main door of the church. She's seen better days. Half of her face is missing, and chunks of rock from her body are gone. I've seen more complete Swiss cheese. Yo! There really is no need to check, but I wanted to make sure I was alone before going into the church. There are no doors in the main entrance, not much for security. Then again, the inside isn't much better than the outside. In fact, the inside looks half destroyed. As I step inside, my foot lands on a weed growing out of the broken tile floor. Pieces of the ceiling are either gone or about to fall. On the bright side, this lets in a bit of sunlight. The sunbeams lit up what's left of the altar at the back of the church. I weave through the wreckage on my usual path, heading toward a small room behind the altar. It was once a storage room and is still lined with empty shelves, but the shelf at the very back corner is actually a door to a stairwell. I pull it back and climb down. The stairwell isn't that long, and there's still some light sneaking in from outside. I had no trouble opening the door. Goddess, I'm home! As my voice echoes off the basement walls, the smell of home wafts into my nose. The room is small, but big enough to live in comfortably. The person I called is sprawled out on a purple sofa just inside the door. She looks up from her book and jumps to her feet. Just by looking at her, you would probably think she was a young girl about to hit puberty. Being that she is just a little bit shorter than me, many people would mistake us for brother and sister, only a year or so apart. Her feet thump quickly on the floor as she runs up to me with a big smile on her kitty face. Hey, welcome back. Aren't you a bit early? Well, I almost died in the dungeon today. What? What? Are you okay? It'd be a real shock to me if you died. I'd be lonely and possibly really sad, too. Her tiny hands dance up and down my body, looking for injuries. I can't help but blush a little. Her kind tone and words always cheer me up. Don't worry, I won't leave my goddess high and dry. Oh, I'm glad you've made up your mind because I need a lot of water. That's an interesting way to put it. Both of us crack smiles and walk into the back of the room. The space we share has one square part and one long part. It's the shape of a P underground. The entrance is the square, the door in the middle of the front wall, and the two sofas face each other against the two opposite walls. We sit down on our own sofas. The girl sitting across from me is, without a doubt, pretty. Her shiny jet black hair falls down on the sides of her head to cover her ears, but is also long enough to be tied into two extensive ponytails that reach down to her waist. Two ribbons with silver bells hold them together. Her round face and cheeks make her look very young, which is why I can't believe how much her boobs push up with her clothes. I try not to look honest. It's hard not to. Add in her clear blue orb like eyes, and she has an aura like a fairy tale character come to life. Although by usual standards she would become an absolute bombshell in a few years, I don't think her appearance will ever change that much. She is, after all, a goddess. I call her that for a reason. She's different from us humans, demi-humans, or the monsters that appear in the dungeon. She came from another plane, Duasidia. She won't age or change much at all like we do. Far above humans, she's even more influential than any of the heroes I idolized back in the day. I bet you didn't get much money at all today, did you? No, not as much as usual. How about you, goddess? Take a look at this. Ta-da! Those are... Yep, I did pretty well at the shop today, so I got these potato snacks for free. Party night? Belle, I won't let you sleep tonight. At all. Wow. Great job, goddess. This influential goddess is working part-time at a human-owned shop in Aurario. If she didn't, of course, we wouldn't be able to survive. A long time ago, gods and goddesses came down to our world. They call it Gikai, or Lower World. There are many myths and legends that explain the why and how, but according to the goddess I know, the gods were just bored up there. They were in their upper world, Tenkai, not doing much at all for eternity. The gods had all the time in the world, but nothing to do. Then they started watching us to waste so much, but also make so many interesting things like culture and business. The children, us, basically, became the best entertainment available. We shall be among the children as they are, with the same abilities. They shall see us. They may be perfect beings, yet they have their flaws. They would have to, because were interested enough in our world to come here. The excitement of a new world with the children lured many gods to Gikai. They wanted to experience things like phenomena they couldn't foresee, a desire for food, hobbies, fine arts, and the indefinable bonds of friendship like the children had every day. They laughed, or so I've been told. The gods and goddesses feel like they are playing a game and are fully enjoying it because it is possible to predict what will happen. It wasn't long before gods were living in Gikai. Quite a few of them decided to live here permanently. As for our ancestors who lived here first, they didn't reject the gods because they arrived. Why would they? They revered the gods because they could receive blessings. To put it another way, you scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours. That relationship is still clearly going on today. They live among us now. We live and work side by side, helping one another out. These gods abandon their separate and constrained lifestyles to live in our inconvenient world. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this time with me. I'm the Midnight Reader, and the story isn't over yet, so come back and enjoy the tones.